I'm Reverend J. Stewart Glover, and you are listening to Faith Talk. We are continuing with our series on metabolic health with our special guest, Stephen Beard, who is a nutritionist as well as a diabetes prevention lifestyle coach. Stephen and I have decided to do this series to help people make better informed decisions as they head into the new year with all of these resolutions regarding their health and perhaps maybe even misinformed. So we just pray that they're led to the response of making wiser decisions when it comes to their health. And some folks might ask why and how does a health discussion fit into the platform of faith and spirituality? Well, I'll remind you that Jesus said that we should love God, love our neighbor as we love ourselves, and we propose today that loving ourselves includes taking care of ourselves. So today we are going to be talking about cholesterol. We're going to beyond the numbers and decoding high cholesterol. So Stephen, welcome back to Faith Talk, and it's showtime. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
And thanks for the fantastic introduction. So as Reverend Glover mentioned, I'm Stephen Beard, and I am a nutritionist as well as a board-certified health and wellness coach and a diabetes prevention coach as well. I am a type 1 diabetic, was diagnosed roughly around 25 years ago, and it is what sparked my interest, my passion, and my desire to be in the health sector that I am in with a holistic and functional approach to not only help myself, but also others really dial into their health and help improve lifestyle chronic illnesses and diseases that we are being told that we are stuck living with for the rest of our lives. But in actuality, there are ways that we can actually improve our health and reverse what we have been diagnosed with.
Mm-hmm. Stephen, before we go any further, would you be able to tell us, I know you mentioned in conversation that you were starting up a new platform with a new name. Can you give us any information about that?
Yeah, so my previous business name was really just, it was Ideal Body Fitness. And that's when I actually had my brick and mortar business, which was a health and fitness studio. So it was more geared around just nutrition as well as fitness. And since I've continued my education, got my board certification, and I'm currently in functional medicine studies, I actually, evolved my business name into Holistic Synergy. So that's what it currently is, and currently working on building out my website.
Amen. Nice, very nice. So again, today we're talking about cholesterol, and so where do we begin?
So good question. I would like to just start with just letting everyone know what cholesterol actually is. Mm-hmm. Most people don't even know what it is. So cholesterol, it's like a waxy, fat-like substance that is found in all the cells of our body. So just like anything else, anything in abundance can be toxic to our body. So cholesterol is needed by the body, and it does have health benefits. Certain things like cholesterol is needed to make hormones, vitamin D, and also to help us digest food. But higher levels of cholesterol can increase the risk of things like heart disease. Mm-hmm. And then I guess I can go on and just say, with high cholesterol, you can develop fatty deposits in your blood vessels because some people are like, okay, what are the causes or what can cause, things if you do have high cholesterol? So the cholesterol, when it's high, it will develop fatty deposits in your blood vessels.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, these deposits, they will grow, making it difficult for enough blood to flow through your arteries. And most of the time, these deposits will break and then suddenly form a clot that can cause things like a heart attack or a stroke.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, I hear people say there's such a thing as a good cholesterol and a bad cholesterol.
Yes, yes. So cholesterol, it's carried through your blood. And when it's carried through your blood, it is attached to proteins. So the combination of the protein and the cholesterol is called a lipoprotein. And then there are different types of cholesterol based on what the lipoprotein carries. So they're broken down into two main categories, like you said, the good and the bad. So the bad cholesterol is given a name as low density lipoprotein, which is LDL. And this specific cholesterol transports cholesterol particles throughout your body. And it's the LDL cholesterol that builds up in the walls of your arteries, making them hard and narrow. And then the good cholesterol, like you said, is referred to as high density lipoprotein, or HDL. And the HDL picks up excessive cholesterol and takes it back to your liver. And it takes it back to your liver because the liver plays a major role in metabolizing cholesterol.
Mm-hmm. So I guess we could talk about maybe for a little bit some of the foods perhaps that introduce bad cholesterol into your body. What would some of those things be?
Certain types of foods, it's going to be consistent across the board, which I'm sure everyone who's listening already knows. Heavily processed foods. So when I talk about poor diet, which is a risk factor, eating too much saturated fats, eating too much trans fats, and then saturated fats, are found in fatty cuts of meat, and in full fat dairy products. And then trans fats are often found in packaged snacks and desserts. So more or less the foods that most of the population gravitates to and loves to eat on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. So the that label that we see on products that says cholesterol free, it doesn't mean that you're getting something that you're not paying for.
Not necessarily, no. I have learned over my years, the FDA doesn't really require a lot for a company to be able to market a specific type of food to be heart health or great for cholesterol and stuff like that. So you really have to be able to understand how to read a food label, really understand how to read the ingredients, that is actually listed in the packaged food. And then sometimes I just tell people, if you don't really feel like reading and researching, then just stick to more plant-based types of food, your fruits, your veggies, because they don't really come packaged. Your beans, your grains, your lentils, you don't really have to worry about it that much.
Right. So maybe we can talk a little bit about the telltale signs, if any, of high cholesterol. So I'm looking at something that uses the term silent progression, meaning that it usually often progresses without symptoms.
You're absolutely correct. Up to today, high cholesterol has no symptoms at all. The only way to actually get tested for high cholesterol is through blood work. And that blood work, you would get done through your PCP or at a lab.
Mm-hmm. And again, it's important that we familiarize ourselves with the results of those tests and without waiting for anybody to. I mean, of course, a doctor will probably tell you or have somebody call you. My experience is that they call you and tell you, maybe review the numbers with you. That's been my experience. But I think that we should get used to getting familiar with the numbers and the ranges and know what's going on in our bodies according to our blood work.
100%. 100%. And, just to add to that, when we get, which is referred to as a comprehensive metabolic panel, a blood work completed, what we're looking at is our total cholesterol numbers. So, our total cholesterol numbers, which is normal, is less than 200 milligrams per deciliter. So when you're looking at, I guess, your results, that would just show 200 mg with a slash and then DL, which stands for milligrams per deciliter. And then borderline high total cholesterol is from 200, I believe, to 239 or 240. Mm-hmm. And then anything over 240 from a total cholesterol is considered high.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, we did mention briefly the bad sources or foods that are contain things that contribute to cholesterol being formed in your blood. What are some of the foods that would encourage the good cholesterol?
So foods that would encourage the good cholesterol, which would be the HDL. Complex carbohydrates. So complex carbohydrates are also more or less unrefined foods. So unrefined just means foods that more or less comes in its whole form. So I'm not trying to, I guess, push plant-based eating. But, as we continue to have these conversations and as we continue to look at these lifestyle illnesses and diseases that we in this country are facing, everything points back to nourishing the body and using food as medicine, and that is more plant-based eating. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So again, it goes back to your fruits and your vegetables. And why fruits and vegetables? Because your fruits and vegetables have the specific vitamins and minerals that are essential for the body, number one, but they also carry specific phytochemicals, which are referred to as phytonutrients, based on the color of the fruit or the vegetable. And this is why maybe someone listening has heard eat the rainbow. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking about Skittles, the candy. I'm talking about, eating the rainbow, the variety of colors of fruits and veggies. So you're getting the benefit of all of them, because each phytonutrient from each fruit or vegetable based on the color has specific functions that help fight or prevent a lot of different types of illnesses, diseases. They help support specific types of organs and so forth. Mm-hmm. So your fruits, your vegetables, your grains, and then if you do eat meat, you want to make sure that you stick with grass-fed. If we're talking about red meat, meaning beef, but that still needs to be limited. Mm-hmm. To like 1 to 2 servings. I always suggest 1 to 2 servings, maybe bi-weekly. And a serving is 4 ounces, not 8 ounces, 10 ounces, 16 ounces, or 24 ounces like you can order at a steakhouse. And then if you are eating, fish, for example, you want to make sure that you're eating wild caught. And again, limiting your servings, with that as well. And
Well, how
then
about
also,
this? How about this? I've seen people trying to make adjustments to their diet, and now we're talking about a very simple adjustment here, but they get a salad, they make a beautiful salad, and then they pour half a bottle of ranch dressing over the top of this salad. Do you have anything to say about that?
yeah, I'm going to tell you number one, look at the ingredient list and look at the food label on the back. So you are actually aware, number one, of how much saturated fat is in per serving, and then learn how to actually understand what a serving size is. Because a serving size for any type of salad dressing is 1 tablespoon. So I've looked at people and watched them make a salad and put dressing on it, and they're probably using anywhere from 4, 5 to 6 servings of salad dressing just on their one salad.
Mm-hmm. And so what are alternatives to dressings like ranch dressing that
So I always just suggest keeping it basic and just using olive oil. And then you also have balsamic vinegar.
Mm-hmm.
There's many recipes on the internet that you can just Google. And you can just Google homemade salad dressings, and you can even make your own. And, I would suggest that would be the healthiest way of doing it. If you do have a supermarket like an Aldi, I have come across some fantastic salad dressings that literally have 1 gram of sugar to 0 grams of sugar, added sugars, as well as the grams of fat are below 3 grams per serving.
Mm-hmm.
And then also you can look for specific dressings that are labeled Whole 30, because Whole 30 is a program that eliminates added sugars and saturated fats. It's more whole food based. So those types of salad dressings are more plant-based types of salad dressings. Yes, they're probably double to triple the price that you would pay, for a regular bottle salad dressing. But when you're looking at your health, that should be priceless.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know people that have gone to the doctor and they've detected high cholesterol, the bad cholesterol, and have prescribed statins in one form or another. And I think doctors prescribe medicines like that because they basically don't have a whole lot of confidence in us making radical changes to our eating practices or our exercise practices. But I've heard some negative feedback about statins and the use of statins. Do you know anything about that?
I really haven't, to be honest with you, I really haven't gone that far in depth.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the clients that I have been able to work with who has had high cholesterol, they have literally just stood on their own 2 feet and told their doctors no.
Mm-hmm.
They did not want to go on medication for it because they knew that there was something that could help improve their numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very, very happy to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
For others, really just depending on how high the numbers are. I've also had a couple clients, again, high numbers of total cholesterol, is higher than 200. And I have seen people who's been in the 800s and 900s. So if it's astronomically high like that, then I would say, yes, go on the medication to help bring it down. Because if you don't and it stays that high, you're really putting yourself in jeopardy for a heart attack or a stroke. But using that medication as temporary assistance while you try to focus on adapting healthier lifestyle choices, to be able to get the numbers down holistically yourself, and then eventually weed yourself off the medication.
And last time we talked, you talk about so we talked about dietary changes, but you also mentioned the muscular, the development of your skeletal muscle and how important of a role that plays in good health. So, how does exercising and building muscle or strengthening muscles that exist already lead to managing high cholesterol? In what way?
So exercising regularly is a huge component because everything that we have spoken about so far and that we're going to continue speaking about in our series is all tied into metabolic health. So healthy skeletal muscle is going to help the entire metabolic process and all of the systems that coexist and are intertwined that rely on each other, to operate and to function properly and efficiently. So it's not just one piece of the puzzle, it's many pieces of the puzzle that has to work cohesively together. So there's harmony. That's kind of like a word that we use in the holistic world. The body needs to be in harmony. For things to actually work and function properly. So you do want to make sure that you're exercising regularly. And studies show that if as minimal as 30 minutes of physical activity on most or all days of the week. And for me, most is at least 5 days. And then all, obviously, is 7 days a week. And I always say God built the body to move. He did not create the body to be sedentary and to sit. So I'm not saying we need to be in the gym exercising every single day, but I do say that we do need to be up walking and moving every single day.
And if somebody is I was talking to a friend the other day who himself was diagnosed with diabetes and cholesterol and kidney problems. And he told me that he has a friend who just had a kidney transplant, and yet every day he sees him walking around with a I don't even have to mention the names, but fast food burger places bags every day. And so he got the transplant. That wasn't enough, and he still maintains this diet as though nothing ever happened. He was not led to change his diet or his exercises. He just went ahead and got the transplant. But what I'm getting at is that we are called to respond to an appropriate response to our health, and we need to make changes. And sometimes I believe that change might not. The first thing we think about is going cold turkey from everything that we have ate. And I'm not going to eat this, I'm not going to have that. And that might be good. But there's also the idea of perhaps just begin by adding some good things into your diet. Like if you have a regular diet of fast food burgers and French fries, perhaps if you begin adding the fruits and the vegetables and that's another approach to modifying your eating habits, of adding something in good.
I agree with you 100%. And that is my approach with every single client that I work with. I've been doing this roughly for 6.5, 7 years now. And most of the times the people that I work with, there's some sort of, I don't want to call it an eating disorder, but most people emotional eat, or they will binge eat. So, when you try to go cold turkey or you try to remove a lot of things, then that's going to cause more unhealthy behaviors and relationships with food. So, like you said, if you stick to the way that you're currently eating, and if you just add a piece of fruit with every meal, or if you incorporate a handful of veggies with every meal, eventually, as you continue that process week after week, month after month, and we focus on eating those foods first before you dive into your French fries or that Big Mac or Whopper, eventually you're going to become satiated and full from eating the good stuff that you're not really going to have the appetite to continue eating your French fries or the bad foods that's left over. So, from a psychological perspective, that's an easier transition in improving your lifestyle versus, like you said, trying to go cold turkey.
And then you mentioned psychological. When COVID first came into our lives, and we were evicted from the normalcy of our lives, one thing that happened, excuse me, is that people started gaining weight. They're staying in the house, and I know even myself, we you're locked up in the house. What are we gonna do? Well, we binge watch Netflix, and what should we do now? Let's eat again. So everybody ended up gaining all this weight, kids included. And so what I'm getting at is the somehow stress finds its expression through our eating habits. And you mentioned binge eating. So sometimes in answer to stressor conditions, we pick up food. And we're not hungry. We just start, putting things in our mouth sometimes out of boredom, sometimes out of some stress condition, and that's our response. So I think if we can learn to identify that as a behavioral issue, that can also help us.
You're 100% correct. And stress management is actually one of the ways to be able to lower your LDL cholesterol and to help prevent cholesterol, high cholesterol, if we're speaking to someone who doesn't have high cholesterol yet.
All right, so I think we've just about run out of time. Stephen, do you have any closing thoughts on this idea of cholesterol and detection and management?
I like I always say, number one, if we are not in control of our health, if we're not going to get checkups done, blood work done on a regular basis, we really want to make sure that we start doing so. Because as we discussed, there are no symptoms, of high cholesterol. And high cholesterol is part of metabolic syndrome, which leads to an array of other, lifestyle health conditions as well. So let's not be blindsided, by our own health and wellness. And let's try to make, this year the year that we all take charge and ownership of our health. And, it's kind of like the blind leading the blind if we don't have awareness. And like I do tell some of my clients, don't be afraid of what the test results show, because at least you've already done step one, which is knowing where you stand, and that creates the awareness. And then step number two is putting together a POA, which is a plan of action, to be able to improve those numbers.
Amen. Well, Stephen, thank you for coming. Again, you always bring a wealth of information to this platform. And again, our prayer is that the listening audience would be led to an appropriate response, an educated response, and making better decisions. So I'm Reverend J. Stewart Glover. You've been listening to Faith Talk. I would invite you to look out for our next episode, which is going to deal with hypertension. And we're trusting Stephen to bring his wealth of understanding and knowledge to us again. Look out for his website, which will be called Holistic Synergy. Right, Stephen?
That is correct.
Good. Look out for the website, and you can look up Stephen Beard on Facebook. And Steve, thanks for coming, and we'll see you next time. God bless you.